start with the one that we've just seen. Feel free to give any feedback and help me in giving it too. We need to be one circle, not two. So you need to move over so, like I just said, the other people can come in. Are you all right to film it for us?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, Itch, ladies and gentlemen, have you got any clear things that you want to say either about the piece or to either actor? Yes, David.
Well, one thing that could be improved on is Heidi's facial expression, because when someone mentions the rat answer, Heidi's supposed to be all panicking, but
well, she panicked in her body, didn't she?
Yeah, but she's still smiling.
A bit more in your face, perhaps. Any other feedback that we've got that's good, bad, ugly? Go for it.
I think sometimes I couldn't really understand what you were saying, so on, so maybe just pronounce your words.
So the vocal clarity, I'd agree with that. And one thing that would help is if you just slow the pace down a little bit to do that. Any other comments from the group? I thought that was very slick. I thought that you were very polished. There was a very clear understanding of the tension between you. But I think next week you can actually develop that even further. And in terms of accent, you need to... Is it Scottish? Because I thought it was Yorkshire, but it sounds Scottish. Yeah, it sounded Scottish. By the time you got to cruel, yours sounded Scottish. But all of the first part, I thought it was sort of a dodgy Cockney accent. And by the end, you hadn't sustained the Scottish, and I think it was vaguely sounding Yorkshire. So really work on. I'm advising Scottish. For you, you already, it's difficult for you. I appreciate doing a British accent's difficult, but maybe you could try an American accent or a French accent. Try an accent, but whatever you do with your vocal delivery, be clearer with your lines and slow them down. Yeah, it's hard with your physical stage business when you're meant to be trapped on a chair. But your physicality was fantastic, Heidi, and yours was very static, so you need to do more with your legs, and maybe you're turning, maybe some gestures or mannerisms with your hands. Well done, I was entertained by that, and I'm looking forward to it in 2 weeks' time. So then we go to taking it back. What was the one just before that? So it was Gregory's Girl. Comments, please, for Gregory's Girl. Be nice if we could have some. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I really liked the double role play by Matt, but I think accents could have been a little bit more clearer, because I think Amir was changing a bit accent.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
I think we really need to speak up a bit.
So vocal projection. I certainly have projection needed. Where are you, Amir? Yeah, I've got that you need to create more vocal projection. Yeah, Fred?
Maybe Holly can just speak a little bit slower, so
yes.
A bit clearer.
I thought the high pitch really worked for her age. Actually, that was excellent. But I agree. Maybe just slow it down a little bit. And you had a comment?
Oh, I was going to say, Holly's physically, it's really like...
You could hear the 11-year-old. Yeah, I'll just go for it.
Maybe more like actions.
So more mannerism gesture. I think what would help is if you actually had stage business with cups of coffee. And if Maddie had a bag with stuff in it, that might also be helpful. For me, the staging doesn't quite work because you're facing each other, not the audience. So I would suggest that at least one, if not possibly both chairs, are this side of the table rather than either end. Do you understand what I mean? Because then you're facing out more. Maybe Gregory's in the middle, and maybe you could have three chairs, one on either side, so Gregory stays in the centre, and he just reacts to Maddie this side or Steve that side. I wasn't particularly hearing accent from any of the three of you, and I would have thought this needs to be some sort of inner city somewhere in Britain. You choose where it's going to be, and all three of you please try and aim to have the same accent. The waiter needs to sound different to Steve. Steve ends up talking about petit choux and pastry, because he's all about cooking, isn't he? He wants to be a chef. I think actually having a stage prop that Amir could eat would be helpful in that scene, because it's realistic and it's quite hard doing it through mine. Well done, it was well prepared. I could see a really good shape. You had a really odd high-pitched moment when you said, what do you mean about? And it sounded like you were trying to be Maddie.
I was going through like accents because I hadn't fully decided what I was trying to do.
Okay.
So
it wasn't the accent that I was hearing, it was the pitch. You went incredibly high.
I
So
wasn't
when you
exactly
watch,
sure about my age as well.
okay, you're 14 to 15-year-olds, so
Okay.
you're just slightly older than you are now. So your pitch definitely shouldn't be an 11-year-old girl.
So lower pitch.
No,
Okay.
your pitch. Your
Okay.
pitch is fine. You don't have to mess with pitch. Don't go really high. And yeah, good luck with the accent choosing. Well done. Fish is the next one working back. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do we want to say about fish? If you haven't spoken yet, please be encouraged to speak. So, Max and me, go.
Well, I feel like they could have both put an accent on.
Okay? So that could be a next step, lads, to develop. Sorry, Mick?
Matt did quite a good job of like generally moving around the space that he had, because obviously it's introduced an open space because it's a fishbowl.
Yeah?
And I think from time to time they can literally just move about because fish can't stay still.
Yes, fish are meant to be swimming, and I didn't see the swimming part of being a fish. So I think for the two of you, I thought it was stunningly well done. I mean, brilliant characters. I thought the relationship was well established. And you were so perfect on the line, so great pace and delivery. But it's the physicality of being fish in a bowl. Can you decide the shape of the bowl? Is it going to be a fish bowl, or is it going to be a tank that's a rectangle or a square? And can you swim in it? So work out how you're going to be fish. What are these arms doing? Presumably they're sort of fins, but you'd need to work out what kind of a fish you were. I mean, naturally you're much smaller, and here comes the big intruder. Why don't you have a look at actual fish and choose to be, I don't know, the smallest tiddly fish that you could possibly be in a fish tank? And you'd be the most exotic, large bruiser of a fish that you possibly could, and that could create more comedy for us. Heidi.
Well, maybe when like a lion came in, maybe instead of like just like
Can you sit back in?
like walking in, like maybe you could like fall in.
Could fall in or jump in. You could get on top of the desk and then leap in with your fins flapping or something, and you can have a really huge reaction. Maybe it whooshes you all back into the corner of the fish tank because of the tidal wave of having Elias fish enter your space. Go for it, Zach.
I thought whether it was meant or not, they were sliding a bit on their feet, which is a bit like a fish.
Okay. Was that intentional or was it? So that's your movement. That didn't translate to me. So you use your upper body as well as fish, rather than, yeah, is what I would suggest, and make more of the sliding there so we can see the swimming. Yeah, I felt you were too human. I love the idea of using the sofa as a castle. Did that just come to you because the sofa was in the room? Okay, because the thing is, the sofa doesn't have any sort of turrets. So what I'd suggest for two weeks' time, and next week to rehearse with, is maybe put a chair, a stool, and maybe a table together, and that becomes, with different levels, that becomes the castle, because then you could climb, swing to different levels of the castle, possibly. Yep, that's my feedback. Well done, I thought it was really quite slick. Right, and then we're on to gents, our lovely three old gentlemen, looking at Evelyn with her big thighs and whatever else, and lemonade instead of hearing aid. Go for it, Zach, again.
I like the way Tom woke up and how he said something, but it was like a dream.
Yeah, he was saying attention,
Yeah.
because I think your character, when he wasn't retired, was actually in the military. You might want to show that even more with some sort of gesture that suggests you're in the army as you wake up, and then it's a double take when you suddenly see Fred's there. Yep.
Their voices were they made them husky in a way.
So what is it for texture and voice?
So like
It begins with T. Anybody? Arena? No?
Amber.
Timbre. The timbre was quite husky and gravelly, so it suggested they were old, didn't it? Yeah.
I
Jack?
think Alex could have been a bit older, like, because it kind of was his normal voice-ish.
Okay, so age Alex a bit more. I could hear standard received pronunciation accent, and you sustained that, but I think that could be more exaggerated and definitely more timbre for you to be a little older. Arena?
I like that they have a free dialogue, so it wasn't really like awkward pauses in between. It was
Yeah.
like it was flowing.
They did have a good flow, good pace between them. Go for it.
I don't know if it was supposed to be, it probably was, but Alex suddenly turned like really posh off of it. Like,
Yeah, I gathered, I mean, the first thing I wrote for Alex was SRP, standard received pronunciation, so I thought he sustained it, but it didn't suddenly happen. Elliot, you were trying for, where are you? Yeah, you were trying for a Cockney accent. I really appreciate the attempt. There's still a bit more to do to make that broad enough for you. I think we could make a lot more with your character because you're the one who doesn't hear very well. So if you would have a hearing aid, potentially you might be speaking louder until you get the hearing aid in, and then it adjusts your vocal projection. So that might be something you play with the character. Tom, when you're sleeping, could you make sleep sounds? Like sort of snore and then so it really comes alive when you wake up. Boys, all three of you, a little bit too sat down for me. So before you see Evelyn, when obviously you want to sit back down again, I think we need to get up with the confusion over lemonade hearing aid. So physicalise it, get up. Then final point with Evelyn, it was hysterical. You watch yourself on camera because one of you pointed over there. Someone was looking over there, and the other one was looking sort of here. So Evelyn was very large indeed. I mean, she covered the whole street. You need to have it from one point, and all three of you and your heads need to follow this imaginary Evelyn as she walks up the street, and you will fancy her and her thighs. All right, so that was my first page. Let's go to the one before Gents. Can somebody, while I'm trying to find it, tell me what was the scene before Gents? Was it Blood Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blood Brothers then. So let's have some feedback. If you so far haven't said anything yet, use this opportunity. It's great to see the same faces, but I'd like to have everyone give some commentary. Is that you scratching your head, or do you want to contribute? Okay, no, you don't have to force somebody to do that. Elliot,
I
go.
think we developed the dialogue a bit more because it was a bit stutter and stuff.
Do you have a particular point where you felt that?
Well, I get that Irina's character is sort of stuttering because she's nervous, but there was a section like when they were getting to the bit about the superstitious part.
Okay.
It sort of stopped and then started again.
And I would actually say that I think it might have been lines and it might have been nerves, because it's not Mrs. Lyons' character to be stuttery. She's formidable, and she's a bully, and she intimidates little Emily there. She intimidates Mrs. Johnston. I thought, unlike you, the flow was really strong. I thought it was such a powerful piece between the two of you. It really was. Just slow it down a little bit, because I think that's where some of the stutteries have got on a bit hyper with it almost. Just slow it down, because she would. Mrs. Lyons is utterly in control. This is her home. She's the employer, and it's now her child, and she knows she can manipulate Mrs. Johnston. And you've got to show us far more on your face of how intimidated and frightened she is, but also how fiercely you want to have your child, because she's lied to you. And it's the biggest stake here, so more emotion needed. Alex?
I thought the accents were really good.
I
really
agree.
Clear.
I agree. What stunning work you've both done to create that Liverpudlian and standard received pronunciation. I think your accent, Irina, would be clearer, again, if you slow it down, because I can hear that you put the work in. Nice use of staging, I thought. That was really, really convincing. So, apologies to our double bouncers and audition. As you leave for your break time, I just heard the bell go. I'm going to speak to camera. Everybody, watch yourself from Monday. Thank you very much, everyone.
Do I need to?